The day my father died, my sister-in-law smiled, and that smile would eventually cost her everything. The hospital room still smelled like antiseptic and grief. Machines hummed softly, as if afraid to disturb the truth settling into my bones. My father lay still, his hand cold in mine, the warmth gone forever. I whispered goodbye, even though I knew he couldn't hear me anymore. I wasn't ready to let go. I never would be. Outside the room, my brother Daniel leaned against the wall, face buried in his hands. He looked smaller than I remembered, like the weight of loss had crushed something essential inside him. Behind him stood his wife, Marissa. Perfect hair. Perfect posture. Dry eyes. No tears. Not one. "I'm so sorry," she said, touching my arm lightly, as if practicing compassion instead of feeling it. I nodded, too numb to question why her voice sounded calm. Too broken to notice how quickly her eyes drifted toward the hallway where the hospital administrator waited with documents. My father wasn't just my dad. He was a self-made man. An immigrant who arrived with nothing and built an empire from grit and sleepless nights. A logistics company that grew into global infrastructure. At the time of his death, his net worth hovered near $600 million. Money changes people. But grief reveals them. The funeral was grand. Politicians, executives, and factory workers stood side by side. My father had remembered everyone who helped him climb. I stood at the podium, hands shaking, speaking about the man who taught me honesty mattered more than profit. Marissa sat in the front row, black dress tailored perfectly, dabbing her eyes at all the right moments. Cameras flashed. Whispers filled the room. "She's the widow-in-law," someone murmured behind me. Lucky woman. Lucky. That word would haunt me. A week later, we gathered at the office for the will reading. My father's co-workers, men and women who had worked beside him for decades, were invited at his request. That alone told me something mattered more than money to him. Marissa arrived early. She sat at the head of the long conference table, legs crossed, scrolling through her phone like this was a meeting she already controlled. Daniel sat beside her, silent. Exhausted. Hollow. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Your father was very specific." Marissa smiled. "The first line of the will changed everything. My business shall be placed into a trust, managed by my daughter until my grandchildren come of age." The room stirred. Marissa's smile froze. "My liquid assets," the lawyer continued, "will be distributed to my employees in the form of pensions, healthcare coverage, and education funds." Gasps. Tears. Hands over mouths. Marissa leaned forward. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "That's not correct." The lawyer adjusted his glasses. "It is." She laughed once. Cold. "There must be a mistake. Daniel is his son." My brother looked up slowly, confusion clouding his grief. "Marissa." The lawyer continued, unfazed. "Daniel receives the family home and a monthly stipend. Enough for a comfortable life." Marissa's face flushed red. "And the rest?" she demanded. The lawyer paused. "The remainder has already been donated." The room fell silent. "To charity?" Marissa snapped. "To a foundation created in your father's name," the lawyer replied. "Focused on worker welfare and education." Marissa stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. "This is ridiculous. I want to see the original will." "You already have," the lawyer said. She turned to me then, eyes sharp. Accusing. "You did this." I swallowed. "No. He did." Her mask cracked. Over the next few days, her grief turned into fury. She called lawyers. Threatened lawsuits. accused me of manipulation. But the will was airtight. What she didn't know was that my father had seen this coming. 6 months earlier, he had called me into his office late at night. The city lights flickered behind him as he poured tea with trembling hands. "Marissa scares me," he said quietly. I hadn't argued. "She asked me once how fast assets could be liquidated after death," he continued. Didn't even wait until I finished coughing. My chest tightened. "She doesn't love Daniel," he said. "She loves what she thinks he'll inherit." I wanted to deny it. For my brother's sake. But deep down, I knew. After the will reading, the office changed. Employees whispered. Stories surfaced. "She asked me about my pension last year," one woman said. "Wanted to know if it would disappear if the company sold." She once joked about firing half the staff to streamline profits, another admitted. The image Marissa tried so hard to maintain began to rot. Then came the email. Sent accidentally, or so she claimed, to the entire executive mailing list. Subject: Asset Redistribution Plan, Post-Funeral. Inside were spreadsheets. Names. Calculations. Plans to challenge the will. Notes about how to pressure Daniel into compliance. One line stood out. "Once the money is secured, divorce can be negotiated." The office erupted. People who had respected her were disgusted. Co-workers who had cried at the funeral now stared at her with open contempt. Daniel read the email alone. He didn't speak for hours. That night, he showed up at my door. Eyes red. Hands shaking. "She was waiting for him to die," he whispered. While I was praying he'd live. I hugged my brother as he broke apart in my arms. The next day, Marissa arrived at the office uninvited. She tried to explain. To spin. To cry. No one listened. Security escorted her out. She screamed my father's name as if invoking it would save her. It didn't. Weeks passed. Daniel filed for divorce. Quietly. Without drama. The foundation launched its first scholarship program. My father's name appeared on buildings, not yachts. On the anniversary of his death, the staff gathered again. This time, to celebrate. An older janitor approached me with tears in his eyes. "Your father paid for my daughter's college," he said. "She's a doctor now." I smiled through my own tears. Later that evening, Daniel stood beside me at the balcony overlooking the city. "He didn't leave us money," Daniel said softly. "He left us truth." I nodded. Greed had tried to steal his legacy. Love protected it. And somewhere, I felt my father finally resting. Sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't money, but the courage to expose greed, protect truth, and honor love even when it hurts. If this story moved you, taught you something, or made you feel less alone, subscribe to Wisdom to Revenge for more powerful stories about justice, betrayal, and redemption. Your support keeps these stories alive.